Call the meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It was so close. Oh, God, that's a great jacket, though.
Thank you and welcome to the December 6th Post Falls City Council meeting. Clerk will note that all council members are now in attendance, especially the somewhat conservative Mr. Moore.
Oh, gosh, I just now saw him.
Very nice, Joe. Tonight, under announcements, we do have a few. The annual Candy Cane Run by Kootenai County Fire and Rescue is December 8th from 6 to 9 p.m. Santa's helpers will be passing out candy canes. They will be accepting donations of cash, non-perishable foods and toys for tots, and the food bank. Visit kootenaifire.com for the route in Post Falls. Also, Holidays and Heroes matches disadvantaged children throughout Kootenai County with local law enforcement and emergency service agencies to participate in a magical shopping excursion and fun-filled activities at Greyhound Park in Post Falls. This year's event is December 11th. Donations for Holidays and Heroes can be dropped off at the Post Falls Police Department and Kootenai Fire and Rescue Administrative Office. As more donations are provided, additional children can be put on the shopping list. Post Falls Police Department is inviting students, kindergarten through 12th grade, to participate in their first handcraft kindergarten through 12 or kindergarten through 12 years old, maybe.
Maybe 12
I'm
years
going to guess 12 years old, yeah. Kindergarten through 12 years old, to participate in their first handcraft ornament contest. Ornaments will decorate the police department Christmas tree. Check out the contest details on the police department Facebook page. Contest ends on December 16th and winners announced on December 21st. Chief, thanks you and your staff for doing that. The December 20th City Council meeting and workshop has been canceled. Our next scheduled meeting will be Tuesday, January 1st, but I bet it won't be.
January 6th.
What we want?
January 6th. Okay, just wanted to make sure. So our next meeting will be Tuesday, January 6th.
Third, sorry.
Third.
7th.
Third, because
We're going to auction this off.
the first would be a Sunday.
First would be a Sunday, so the
January
3rd
3rd.
would be our council meeting.
Yes.
Got it, January 3rd. City business offices will be closed Monday, December 26th in observance of Christmas. City business offices will also be closed Monday, January 2nd in observance of New Year's Day, which then again means that our council meeting will be the 3rd. And I think that is it on the announcements. Also, tonight I would like to have council confirmation for the reappointment to the Urban Renewal Agency of Jamie Davis and Larry Carstensen. And Larry, how many years have you been on the agency? 10 years. And Jamie, I think, was just appointed to fill a position. So both are doing a very good job. And I would ask for a motion for council confirmation.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion? Shannon, please take the roll.
Wilhelm,
Aye.
Borders.
Aye.
Henderson,
Aye.
Malloy.
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Thorson.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, and Larry, thank you, and Jamie both for continuing to serve on that. You've done a nice job for us. Thank you. Are there any amendments to the agenda?
We have none tonight, sir.
Any declarations of conflict? Seeing none, would you please present the consent calendar?
Item A is minutes from the November 15th, 2016 City Council meeting. Item B is payables November 8th through November 28th, 2016. Item C, Police Department request to dispose of miscellaneous equipment and computers. Item D, purchase of a surface water mini excavator for the Water Reclamation Department. Item E is final acceptance of the Spencer Street project improvements from the Post Falls Urban Renewal Agency. Item F is final acceptance of the Greens Ferry Overpass project from the Post Falls Urban Renewal Agency. Item G is professional services contract with JUB to provide support services to the engineering division. Item H is construction improvement agreement for Country Meadows First Edition subdivision. Item I is IT department request to dispose of miscellaneous computers and monitors. Item J is quit claim agreement and the mutual quit claim property transfers between the city and Warren and Marcia Miller. Item K is Bluegrass Corner subdivision plat application. Item L is annual road and street financial report for fiscal year 16. And item M is annexation agreement for the Greens Ferry annexation, file number A-16-04.
On items E and F, we did discuss that at the 3-on-3 workshop with Urban Renewal today. And I think Spencer Street, there's really nothing waiting on that. It was just kind of a timing issue. And on Greens Ferry, there were 3 items remaining, and they've all been addressed. So we are good to go as a city then in accepting that turnover from Urban Renewal. So, Al, you have questions?
I do. On item D, the mini excavator purchase, I noticed that on the list, one of our own local merchants, Jordan Sales and Service, wasn't on the list. Is there a particular reason for that?
That I can't answer directly, but I can find out why they weren't. My understanding is that the equipment and the excavator, it was somewhat specialized and customized, and the 3 bids that we received were companies that had the excavator and had the equipment that we wanted to
Okay.
on that facility.
Okay. And I also had a question on item J. I don't know if you can help us with that, Russ.
Yes, I can.
I was really
Yes.
confused by the right, I mean, I didn't understand some of the wording, because I just don't know what some of the stuff means. So I don't know if it's a Warren question or a Russ question.
I'd be happy to give you a
Either
little bit of history on
Yeah.
that, and Warren can help with if there's any questions related to the legal portions of that. Back in 2008, there was discovered that there was a encroachment onto Mr. Miller's property with a portion of our Ford Rock water tank system. There's a drain pipe that goes with each water tank in a drainage area that comes out. That area was on Mr. Miller's property. My understanding is he had approached the city, and the city had spoken with him. We came to an agreement back in 2008, and he had transferred a portion of property, which was a little over 2 acres, to the city to accommodate for that encroachment. At that time, during that deed transfer, he was also allowed within the deed the right of reversion within a 3-year period, but he had to request that in writing, which he did. He requested that reversion, and so what happened about a year ago is Parks was marking the boundary of Black Bay Park, and the reversion had not officially taken place. There's some legal discrepancy there, whether it automatically reverted or whether we needed to provide a deed. But regardless, we had marked this portion of the property that he had requested reverted back to him. And so he came to the city, Mr. Miller did. Very, very nice gentleman. We had a great conversation, and we talked to him about the city purchasing a portion of that property to include within Black Bay Park. We got with Dave at Parks. We coordinated with that, and we decided that it was important to the city to acquire that piece. Also to make sure that we had enough area up there if we ever do want to utilize the Ford Rock Reservoir. So we came to an agreement in price, and that was shown on the report. It was just a little over $9,000 for a little over an acre of property. We felt that was fair in today's market for that property. And again, that acreage will be added to the parkland, to the park system. And so now what you're seeing today is a couple of deeds that are associated with making sure those transfers are done legally. And Warren's prepared all those legal documents, and Mr. Miller's fully on board, well aware of what's going on. I spoke with him again today, and with your approval, we'll move ahead with this purchase and filing the deeds that will secure the property for the city, and also revert a little over an acre back to Mr. Miller that he can have for a home site for his daughter.
So I was curious, we didn't pay anything back in 2009 when we originally did this thing?
That's my understanding. Yeah, that it was.
Just gave us those 2.5 acres?
Yeah, with the right of reversion for, there was a small sliver of property that the city would have retained to take care of the encroachment. It was maybe 50 feet wide by 100 feet long or maybe a little bit more, just to take away that encroachment area. But yes, he had the right. He had essentially given us that encroachment portion back in 2008, and then decided, within that 3-year period that he did want to keep that. He had contemplated donating that to the city for park property. So
That's what I was confused about. I couldn't imagine somebody just giving us 2.5 acres of property for nothing back in 2009, and then now we were paying for it. I didn't want to make sure we weren't paying for it twice.
And we feel that it was a very more than reasonable price for a little over an acre of land. So very much appreciative of Mr. Miller and his wife for negotiating with the city on this project.
Thanks, Russ.
Great, thank you. One more question. On item L, I was wondering if somebody could explain to me what that is about and why we have to file that with the state. Seems like a lot of work.
As a matter of fact.
We have to advertise it also and pay to advertise it.
Yeah, the state wants to know what we do with the fuel tax that comes in, and also they want to know what type of other expenses that the city has that go into the street, not only repairs but resurfacing and maintenance of the city streets. And also there's a House bill that was passed last year, I believe, was the first year we got the tax, and that was added to the fuel tax, and they want to know what projects we're using to that additional funds on as well. And so it adds a little carrot to make sure that you file the report. If they don't receive it in time, they will hold up all of our state shared revenue until that report's filed. So the state wants to make sure that they can include Post Falls in their annual report.
So am I right in assuming that it's a lot of work? And
It is a
gonna
lot of
be
work,
paid?
and Shelley's right, and then once it's done, once council approves it, mayor signs it, and then I advertise it in the paper, and I get to pay for the advertisement as well.
And nobody reads it.
So is there any action we could take through AIC or someplace like that to kind of do away with this? It just seems like a lot of extra work for.
We probably have a few of those that if we could get maybe Bob Nonini or someone to sponsor, that we could look at having those rewritten to where we're not having to advertise and pay for those reports. Because information is available and can be sent to the state electronically.
Is there a penalty?
Well, they just
If
won't
you
give us the
don't?
money.
Yeah, we just would not receive any state revenue sharing, which is significant for us. That's
That's a
liquor
big
funds,
deal.
that's tax funds, sales tax funds, so.
So it's money that's owed to us. They just want to make sure we're spending it properly, right?
Correct,
Or they want to have some record of it.
Right.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love big government.
Any other questions? Not an entertain a motion.
Move to accept the consent calendar as presented.
Second.
Motion second, further discussion. Seeing none, Shannon, please take the roll.
Borders.
Aye.
Henderson.
Aye.
Malloy.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Thorson.
Aye.
Wilhelm.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next up is public hearings. Tonight, we have none, followed by unfinished business, which we have none. Next up is citizens' issues, and this section of the agenda is reserved for citizens wishing to address the council regarding a city-related issue that is not on the agenda. Bob, come on up.
Bob Flowers. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. Something was brought to my attention within the last couple weeks that I thought I might bring to the council. I believe the city of Post Falls can actually do better than the state of Idaho. I found out that they were they are trying to put a multifamily complex a block away from my house. So anyway, and I wondered why I hadn't been notified. So I came down to City Hall and found out that by state code, all they have to do is notify folks within 300 feet of this project. Well, I happen to be 320 feet. I actually walked it and ran my wheel out. I mean, the city showed me that the building department was great. They gave me a lot of the information I needed to have in that. But I believe that I mean, just because the state says you have to notify folks within 300 foot of a zone change or a proposed development, I believe the city of Post Falls could actually do better. Make that area larger, say 600 foot, whatever the council could come up with, because I don't believe that a person that lives just one block away from a project that has the potential of putting 150-something apartments from their house should be left off of these notices because they're 20 foot too far from this project. I believe that the city of Post Falls could actually do a better job. I mean, as long as we're going by state code, there's nothing that says you folks couldn't make it 600 foot, 1,000 foot, whatever you felt was right. And I just thought I'd bring that up tonight and ask you if you would at least consider it, maybe look at it, see what it would take to actually increase that notification area, because I don't believe it's near far enough.
Thanks, Bob. Warren,
Thank you.
legally, is there an opportunity? I mean, is that something you'd look at and get back to us, or?
That's certainly something cities can do. There are other notifications that are done. So it's the idea in the statute is you do essentially 3 different types of notifications, realizing that any one isn't going to be perfect, but hopefully between the combination of the 3, people become aware of it. So in addition to the mailing within 300 feet, it's also posted on the property. So people in the area who drive by it should see it and are aware of it that way. It's also published. So between those 3 avenues, hopefully there's enough general knowledge of what's going on that the word spreads. And I think tonight, because Mr. Flower's here, that sort of worked. He was able to find out about it. The hearing has not yet occurred. That's the whole idea behind the system. You certainly can increase that. There's some offsetting costs because then you have to turn around and charge more to provide those mailings. And frankly, the statute recognizes that. And when you have a significant amount of mailings, you can get away with not mailing them just because of the cost involved of having to mail out notice to significant numbers of people. So that's what the state code requires. You can certainly look to do more than that, but that's the idea. Is typically we do those 3 types of notices, in addition to any thing that goes on the website or things that get posted at City Hall and public locations on the agendas. So there's those notices as well.
Thank you. Of course, we can't take any action tonight, but if council has strong feelings on that, we can discuss it at a further council meeting.
I have a question on that. Russ, does that create a lot more issues for adding that? And I'll tell you why. I'm glad you brought that up, Bob. When we looked at that multifamily along the freeway there, Solomon's property, what really concerned me was we're going to put 75, I think, residents in that. And there's one street that serves cars, the traffic is going to go up and down. And there was a gentleman that sent us an email, and he wanted to know why we were doing this. And I said, well, you needed to be at the meeting, to voice your concern. Well, he was never notified because he's beyond the 300 feet, but he's definitely going to be impacted by 75 or 150 new cars because there's only one way in and out of that property. So how much extra work would that be, or is it worth looking into?
That's a good question. It is extra cost. It is extra cost, and the reality is, I've worked at locations where it has been 600 feet, and the reality is you have to draw the line somewhere regardless, whether it's at 300, at 600, at 900, and then the question really becomes what's feasible and what works best. And as Warren stated very well, that there's 3 legal requirements for notification. In my opinion, I think that's good. I think it isn't perfect. And 600 wouldn't be perfect either. You're going to have somebody at 620 feet. So what we do is, we do put our notices on site. That's something that is required by law, and it's in the paper. And as Warren said, we do additional stuff as well. We also put it on our city webpage, and it's clearly posted on the agenda. It does create cost. It is a burden. We do have to develop each one of those mailings, and to double that, I can tell you would be would be more effort. It takes staff time to develop those mailings and distribute those. And 300 right now feet does include quite a few residences. And it would add time to staff's obligations.
Jerry?
Would that be something you could pass on to the person that's developing the property?
Expense-wise?
Yeah.
We do pass that on. We do pass that on.
Okay.
There's still a level of workload associated with that.
Okay.
Staff
Thank-
also recently changed, I want to say it's been about 6 to 9 months ago, the notice that's posted on the site to make it more noticeable and more readable and larger. I know Kit was involved with that also,
Right.
along with John Manley, to,
Increasing the size.
Well, and that's great. I'm glad to hear that. Again, back to the example that I use, the Solomon property is at the end of the road. So you could put a, 8x4 sheet of plywood there plastered with, a picture of what's coming, and the people that are going to be affected would never see it because they wouldn't drive all the way down to the end of the road to know what was going on.
Which begs the question, and I appreciate what you're saying, agree, but then where do you draw the line? Because if they're at the other end of the road and they're 2,000 feet away, but you're right, they're going to be affected, how do you determine that?
I don't know, I guess that, I hadn't really thought about it since the Solomon property issue came up, and now Bob's brought it up. But, even if as staff were to look at it and say, look, all of these people along this road are going to be affected by this, we feel like we should notify everyone on that road. I don't know.
Well, we can ask staff to review it and see, because come back, if you feel there's a change that would be prudent.
Be happy to look more into it.
1 second, Linda. Carrie?
Absolutely.
Well, my question was the size of the sign, when you say you post something, if you're driving by, 25 miles an hour, is it large enough to draw the attention, so?
It's orange.
it is now, at 35, 45, I don't know exactly where that breaking point is, but Alan's correct, it's only if you're coming from the right direction would you see it.
Linda?
Well, it seemed like maybe Al was talking about in specific places. This is sort of what I heard by what you said, in specific places where people down the road are going to be affected, but they're not going to get a mailing. I kind of feel like, again, where does that stop? If you're going to go 70, you're going to go half a mile up the road and somebody lives beyond that, I think that's a hard thing to change. We used to think about that a lot at the planning and zoning. People say, I didn't know about it, when they lived outside that 300 feet. So I think it's been an issue for a long time. But I don't think we can pick and choose places where we should tell and where we shouldn't. That's my opinion.
I agree with Linda on that. If we start picking and choosing on a case-by-case basis, then the developer, whoever, is going to contest the fee every time. However, I don't know if an exercise has ever been done or what it would take to do it, but we could use, the potential development in Mr. Flowers' neighborhood, which is a pretty typical neighborhood, I think, in Post Falls, and how much extra cost and effort would it take to go from, say, 300 feet to 500 feet? And just to kind of get an idea of, okay, how much really would this take?
Yeah, we can look into that.
Well, again, I think if we just have staff take a look and bring back, do a study on it, take analysis and bring back a recommendation.
Okay.
So, 'cause I hear all the comments, and I don't disagree with any of them. I definitely don't agree with what Mr. Flowers said. Don't disagree with what Mr. Flowers said. But there again, you have to make a decision, and that's what makes it tough. So I hear what you're saying. Thank you very much. Good input. Anyone else? Seeing none. New business tonight, we have none. We do have 2 ordinances.
I would move to place the ordinance easement vacation Green Ferry Grove on its first and only reading by title only while under suspension of the rules.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion? Shannon, please take the roll.
Henderson,
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Thorson,
Aye.
Wilhelm,
Aye.
Borders.
Aye.
Motion passes.
An ordinance of the City of Post Falls and Municipal Corporation of Idaho providing for the vacation of easements in Section 11, Township 50 North, Range 4 West, Boise Meridian, described herein, providing for disposition of the vacated easements as described herein, providing repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing severability, providing an effective date, and providing for other matters properly relating thereto.
Move to approve the ordinance Green Ferry vacation, or easement vacation Green Ferry Grove, to direct the clerk to assign the appropriate number and that it be published by summary only.
Second.
Motion second, discussion. Shannon, please take the roll.
Malloy,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Thorson,
Aye.
Wilhelm,
Aye.
Borders.
Aye.
Henderson.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next ordinance.
Move to approve the ordinance Green Ferry annexation file number A-16-04 on its first and only reading by title only while under suspension of the rules.
Second.
Motion second, discussion. Please take the roll.
Wolf,
Aye.
Thorson,
Aye.
Wilhelm,
Aye.
Borders.
Aye.
Henderson,
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Motion passes.
An ordinance of the City of Post Falls, a municipal corporation of the state of Idaho, providing for annexation of property consisting of approximately 5.33 acres located at the northwest quarter of the southwest quarter of Section 36 and the northeast quarter of the southeast and the southeast quarter of the northeast of Section 35, Township 51 North, Range 5 West, Boise Meridian, Kootenai County, Idaho, and zoning of said annexed property as single-family residential R1, providing for the amendment to the official zoning map and providing for an effective date hereof.
Move to approve the ordinance Green Ferry annexation file number A-16-04 to direct the clerk to assign the appropriate number and that it be published by summary only.
Second.
Motion second, further discussion. Shannon, please take the roll.
Thorson,
Aye.
Wilhelm,
Aye.
Borders.
Aye.
Henderson,
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you very much. After listening to Mr. Wilson read that, now you know why it's by its first and only reading, because it can be very interesting. Any administrative staff reports tonight?
We have none tonight, sir.
Mayor comments, don't have any specific other than to say thank you for all those that are helping Holidays and Heroes, the Candy Cane Run, the folks that supported the food bank and all the other charities that are in need, especially this time of year. And for myself and council, we wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and be safe. And we will revisit again in January at our next meeting. Council comments.
I'd just like to thank the city staff who helped with the Winterfest. I was down here and there was lots of people involved, and it's really become a fun thing for our Post Falls citizens, and the place was packed. Thanks for all your efforts.
And for the decorations, they look great. Outside, inside. Anyone else? Seeing that we do need a executive session tonight to last no longer than,
10 minutes.
Okay. Move, what are we doing?
it's listed there, Idaho Code, interest in real property. Did you see it there?
I don't see anything.
It's on the number 10 on
Number
the
10.
Online version.
Oh, well, I just shut mine off. Lynn,
Idaho Code 74-2061C to acquire an interest in real property which is not owned by a public agency.
move to enter into executive session pursuant to that Idaho code. Further, that no action will be taken during the session, and the session will last approximately 15 minutes.
Second.
Motion second, further discussion. Shannon, please take the roll.
Wilhelm,
Aye.
Borders.
Aye.
Henderson.
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Thorson.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. We'll enter executive session. call the meeting back to order. Is there any motions to come forward?
Adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.
Christmas.